All right, Dawn, finishing up our top 10 positions in college football with our top 10 cornerbacks in the nation heading into the 2024 season, excuse me. Dawn, it's a pretty loaded list that we had today, man. I think we had the same guys in the top 10, just different orders, but there were guys outside the top 10 that could have made this list too.
Absolutely. I think if we extended this list to 20, we'd still have a ton of talented players. This is one of the most loaded positions in college football this year. You've got a lot of guys, you got a lot of different styles of guys, man corners, zone corners, freaks, and big guys and small guys. There's like all sorts of flavors, all sorts of different types of talent all over the country. This was a hard list to put together, but I feel good about these 10 being the top 10.
Yeah, so let's start off with number 10, and that is our guy, Kobe Bryant from Kansas. Man, he makes plays on the football no matter how they come, honestly. 7 interceptions over the last 2 years. That's tied for 6th among all corners in college football. He's also a very willing run defender. 88.8 grade as a run defender last year, which was 11th among all corners in the country. Physical cornerback, man. He makes draw-dropping picks and bone-crushing hits. I mean, he really is a highlight reel machine for the Jayhawks, man. It's got to be a little more consistent, honestly, to climb this list, but he has some draw-dropping plays and also really engaged with the show a lot on Twitter. He messages me all the time when he knew our top 10 corners list was coming out. He's like, I better be in the top 10. He's like, I actually better be in the top 5. No cap, man. I was like, Kobe, we'll see, buddy. So he's a guy that I love interacting with on Twitter, man. He's a great dude and a really great player, too, which is why he deservingly so, not only because he's a friend of the show, but he deservingly so is a top 10 corner in the country.
Absolutely, and he could move into that top 5 with a little more consistency, excuse me. But I'll give you a guy at number 9 from Virginia Tech who's really consistent, and he is lights out, and that's Dorian Strong. 82.7 coverage grade last year, was 6th in the ACC, 3 interceptions and 7 pass breakups, was 3rd in the ACC. Just a stupid stat line for a whole season, man. 9 catches on 33 targets and 83 yards for the entire season last year. Lights out. Man, zone, doesn't matter. Dorian Strong hit another gear for the Hokies last year, and especially in the second half. Let me give you his last 6 games, Max, all right? 13 targets, 2 catches, 7 yards, 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups, led the Power 5 in coverage grade, and a 0 passer rating allowed. There is nobody down the stretch that played better than Dorian Strong from Virginia Tech last year. He could move even higher on this list with his athleticism and his coverage ability by the end of this year, because if he plays like that, this dude's a star, man. Virginia Tech, we've talked a lot about their D-line and Aeneas Peebles and the guys they brought in, but their best player is probably sitting out there playing corner, Dorian Strong.
Dude, led the nation in completion rate allowed, led the nation in yards allowed per coverage snap, and was 2nd in passer rating allowed in the country, too. So Dorian Strong, super underrated player. I don't hear enough people talking about him. You mentioned, man, he was locked down for them last year. Number 8, though, another ACC corner who's also very locked down. That is Quincy Riley out of Louisville. Only Sebastian Castro was more valuable than Riley this past year among returning FBS corners, according to our wins above average metric. He only allowed 23 catches on 63 targets into his coverage, which is good for the 6th lowest completion rate in the FBS. Had a 37% completion rate allowed last year, which, like I said, is the 6th lowest in the country. Highly instinctual player, man. Fantastic quickness and a smooth back pedal as well. He's got great footwork for the position. Big fan of Quincy Riley. I think he and Dorian Strong, 2 of the best corners we have in the ACC. In fact, I think they are the 2 highest ranked corners we have in the ACC and 2 of the most underrated corners we have in college football.
Yeah, absolutely love Quincy Riley and everything he did at Louisville last year. And I'll tell you, we'll go to number 7 at Ohio State again, because it wouldn't be a top 10 list without an Ohio State player, right? And that's out there at left corner, Denzel Burke playing for them. And for 3 years, he's been as consistent as any player in college football. Last year, an 81.7 coverage grade. That was 7th best in a loaded Big Ten. We talked about their secondaries and how good the Big Ten secondaries are. But since 2021, an 82 coverage grade and 25 forced incompletions, right in the same neighborhood as like Terrion Arnold in the top 15 in that span. Just a really high floor guy who brings it every single week. You pretty much never see him have that disaster game, ever. He's just so consistent. I believe the lowest grade he put up in any game last year was a 58 in coverage. Just brings it every single week. If there was ever a guy I could just describe on this list as reliable, it's Denzel Burke. You know what you're getting out of him. He's got a super high floor, and he's certainly going to be picked at least in the top 50 of next year's draft.
Yeah, absolutely. So number 7, Denzel Burke. The only transfer we have in our top 10 is here at number 6. That is Jabbar Muhammad going from Washington over to Oregon. He led all corners in the country last year with 19 forced incompletions. 17 of those forced incompletions came in single coverage as well. So Jabbar Muhammad was locked down, made so many plays on the football. Only 5'10", 183 pounds, but he has an excellent burst for the position and is a ultra competitive player, feisty player at corner, and I think will be the new number 1 corner for Oregon next year after Kyrie Jackson left. And I think Jabbar Muhammad will more than fill his shoes. In fact, he'll probably be even better player than Kyrie Jackson was. So Jabbar Muhammad for us is the number 6 corner in the country, and even has an argument to be in the top 5, Dalton.
Oh, absolutely. He's a great player. But I'll tell you what, we've gone all this time this offseason without talking too much about this next guy from Colorado, and that's Travis Hunter. And people are going to wonder, well, should he have been in your top 10 receivers? And receiver was so loaded, and we've got a guy playing both, and he's the Ohtani or the next Deion Sanders of college football, right? But he's a great player and as good at ball skills at corner, especially, as any player in the country. And we know he's an absolute freak, right? You got 1,074 combined snaps on defense and offense, which is insane. So, to me, I look at him and I go, if he didn't play receiver or he played it a lot less, he could be the best corner in the country.
Yeah.
He really could. I mean, we're going to be talking about he's going to be the most interesting conversation in next year's draft as far as, where does he go? If he plays both, or could he be the best corner? Where is he going? Top 10, top 20? But, the grades are dragged down a little bit really just by a really poor second half against Stanford. So, a 74.7 coverage grade. If you take out that Stanford game, his coverage grade goes up 9 points, 83.4. And he's never, in 2 years, outside of that game, he's never missed a tackle. So you go, oh, he's long and skinny and athletic, but he still wants to tackle. He's one of the best pure cover guys in college football. It's the only thing, honestly, it sounds funky. The only thing holding him back from probably being even higher on this list is just the fact that he does play offense and he does do so much, right? And he has so much, burden to bear when it comes to playing corner. And they played a ton of man coverage last year too. His job last year was as difficult as anyone in college football, and he still made huge plays on the ball. Travis Hunter is as talented as any player, obviously, any corner in the country.
Yeah, honestly, man, he's a really good player at receiver and corner. And like I said, if he took away one of them, he'd probably be one of the best in the country at either of them. That's how special of a football player Travis Hunter is. Checks in at number 5. At number 4 is the best slot corner in America, and that is Sebastian Castro. Was a first-team All-American for PFF this past season. Was both the highest graded and the most valuable cornerback in the country, according to our wins above average metric. Led the country with 19 coverage stops. Led the Power 5 with 16 run defense stops, too. So he's a really good run defender, in addition to being great in coverage. Even though he's not a lockdown outside corner like the other guys that we're talking about on this list, he's a highly instinctual, highly physical player and is the star of Iowa's secondary, which is one of the best secondaries we have in college football. So Sebastian Castro, the best slot corner by a mile, really, in college football, is our number 4 corner in the nation.
And I always love when slot corners get recognized, and he certainly deserves to be that high with the year he had last year and really a 3-year stretch where he's been really good. But we'll go back out to the outside, number 3, and we'll go to the West Coast out to Arizona. And one of the reasons we love the Wildcats is Tacario Davis. This is an absolute freak show, right? 6'4", length out of this world, a 98.1 game athleticism score at that height and length, and speed and pass breakups, and I'll be real with you, the Tariq Woolen comps for him are going to be well warranted. You're talking about a guy with an 85.9 coverage grade last year, 12 pass breakups, was the 7th most in the country, and he's one of the best man coverage guys in the country. 89.0 man coverage grade. 3 for 16 into his coverage for 34 yards and 9 forced incompletions. He forced 9 incompletions and only gave up 3 completions in man coverage. This is as good a press man corner as you're going to find. And Tariq Woolen's the same way in the NFL, right, where he's one of the best press man corners one-on-one. If he's in phase, you're not getting the ball around him. He's got speed, recovery speed. He's got long arms. He's a hunter of the football. Tacario Davis is as good as it gets. And honestly, another guy I think, by the end of the year we could be arguing about, is he really number 1? Because if he just gets a little bit of better footwork and off coverage, he might be the best corner in the country.
Yeah, honestly, might be, man. And the fact that Arizona has a massive receiver who's one of the best in the country, Tacario McMillan, and a massive corner who's one of the best in the country, and Tacario Davis, man, it is special they got down there in Tucson right now. But number 2 and number 1, it's not a surprise for anyone. I think everyone would agree. This is pretty much a consensus top 2. Number 2 for us, though, is Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame, who has been simply phenomenal in his first 2 years of college football. As a true freshman in 2022, Morrison tied for the Power 5 lead with 6 interceptions, and his 29.2 passer rating allowed was 3rd in the country. In 2023, he tied for 8th in the Power 5 with 13 forced incompletions. And then over the last 2 years, he has an 86.8 single coverage grade, which leads all returning Power 5 corners. And if you really want to know how he does against elite competition, he's played Marvin Harrison Jr. Twice in his career as a true freshman and true sophomore. Over those 2 games, he has 2 allowed catches and 3 forced incompletions. So he has really played well when he's matched up against Marvin Harrison Jr., matched up against elite competition. I think Benjamin Morrison has all the makings, man, of being a top 10 pick in the 2025 NFL draft, and could be CB1 by the time this whole thing is over, too.
Absolutely. He's as good a cover corner as there is in the country, and it's very nitpicky as to why we have Will Johnson, number 1 from Michigan, ahead of him. I would say he's just a little more physical, a little better in run defense. But, you look at these 2 guys, and Johnson especially, as freshmen and sophomores in college. Freshmen and sophomore corners are not supposed to do what these guys are doing. And Will Johnson especially, through 2 years, a 90.6 overall grade max across the 2 seasons. Dipped a little bit last year because he was dealing with some injuries and playing through them. But let me give you context on that. Freshman and sophomore corners, okay? In PFF history, you're talking 10, 11 years of data. And I left redshirt freshmen and sophomores as that's fine, cool. First 2 years. The only guys ahead, here's a list of names ahead of them, better than that 90.6. Byron Murphy, Trent McDuffie, Marlon Humphrey, Derek Stingley, Greedy Williams.
Wow.
This is the type of company that Will Johnson is in. His technique is incredible. His technique, especially in man and press man, absolutely flawless. 86.3 single coverage grade over the last 2 years. You're talking, his name, when you put up pretty much any stats, especially in single and man coverage, comes up with the Quinyon Mitchells and Devin Witherspoons and guys like Trent McDuffie. He is doing historical things for his first 2 years. And last year, still had a really, really good year on a national title run when he was playing through injuries all season. Will Johnson, to me, when he is 100%, is no doubt the best corner in the country.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It really is a special group of corners that we have. We're actually going to break them each down in their own individual videos that are coming out. The top 7 we're going to break down in their own individual videos, so be on the lookout for that. And also be on the lookout for our team previews. Starting next week, we are going to be previewing every single Power 5 team, all 70 of them, in their own individual videos. If you want to know more about your team or more about the other teams that are going to be playing this year, or some of the other teams in our conference, be on the lookout for those, man. They're coming out very, very soon for all 70 Power 5 teams. We're also going to be talking about the Group of 5 as well. Don't worry about that. But, yeah, we're really ramping up the college football coverage as we head into the 2024 season. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for those. And let us know in the comments below what you think about our top 10 corners in the nation.